It is August 3rd, 2021. August. It's August. It's the 8th month of the year. 7 months down. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Tonight, talking about NXT on Sci-Fi. Is this going to be the lowest rated NXT episode since leaving the WWE network?
1000%.
Possibly, yeah. Last week's was it would if it was it would beat last week, which is under the same circumstances as a show that got moved to Sci-Fi. So yeah, I could see them doing pretty poor numbers.
Pre-taped tonight.
Pre-taped for the past 2 weeks.
A lot of filler, very, very filler heavy.
Yes, a lot of video packages. But some
good video packages. Yes, good video packages, but very, very filler. If you missed it, you didn't. I mean, you missed something huge, right? We'll get to the end, but you didn't miss a lot.
Yes. The bigger news, Alfred finally watched Clifford after me discovering it last week.
So proud of you, Alfred.
Absolutely love it. It's a great recommendation. I recommend it to anybody. It does hold up well, especially the comedy. And Martin Short is a very good slapstick type actor. He really, I know what you mean about that. In fact, in the fact that he channels that kid and so you kind of really fall into it. It's really good how he does this. He's a great performer.
Very impressive. Issa, have you seen this film?
Yeah, I have.
Wow. Took me 25 years, 27 years since this came out. Funniest thing, I've gone back on YouTube and just rewatched the scene where Charles Grodin's yelling at him multiple times. Look at me like a human boy. Just Charles Grodin losing it is fantastic. We have some news to dive into before we talk about NXT
do we ever? You know, let's start with Ronda Rousey, who's back at it.
I knew this was gonna happen.
The woodwork. I think we've all heard this story by now, but a little late in the day this developed. And I'm going to quote Ronda Rousey in a tweet she sent out. She's reacting to the Bray Wyatt release news. This past Monday on Raw during a Goldberg segment, fans were chanting, "We want Wyatt." And Ronda Rousey responded by saying, "I've seen you same fans," in quotes, chanting, "We want Wyatt," last night chanting, "We want beach balls" over Bray Wyatt performing. If WWE treated him like he was expendable, it was because you ungrateful idiots did first. Busting up those shots. What do you think about this, Issa?
Who was the smoke? Ronda Rousey was all over it. My God. Listen, I can understand where she's coming from. She could have worded it differently, and it just feels like, where are you coming from with your opinion? Like, you're not, I just don't see Ronda as somebody that will be seen as expendable by the company just because of the name value that she brings. So I don't think that she would understand, and I get what she's trying to express, but I don't know. Bray Wyatt has a very big fan base. Bray Wyatt was a merch seller. This isn't someone that we got up and went to get a snack or to the merchandise stand when he came out. That's not the case.
Yeah. I think Ronda's very smart. I think she's in a little downtime right now. She's spending a lot of time streaming. I think that she likes that she can just stir the pot and sort of remind herself.
She's pregnant. Her hormones are a little out there right now.
Oh, well, hadn't thought of that.
You said it.
But no, I think this is good. I think it's good for her to just kind of keep her finger on the pulse of causing some heat. And when she comes back, she just knows she can turn it back on.
Yeah, we got to consider that aspect of it. Is there might be a work shoot aspect to this. She is a child of Paul Heyman, and she did do this her last run, although it did get kind of ugly where she made it seem like it might have been real. She's going to beat the F out of Becky Lynch, and she wouldn't cut that shoot promo on the fans. And I do think there are elements of real frustration where Ronda Rousey does kind of legitimately resent fans, but she did incorporate that in her character. So if she is planning on coming back, which who knows, because she's pregnant, like Issa says, so who knows if that's even in the cards. But maybe this is what she feels. Listen, I don't think it's all the way a good idea, and I never agree with just blaming the fans for a lot of these problems, especially when somebody gets released, because this, at the perfect standpoint, should be a two-way relationship where you use the fans to gauge reactions. If they are kind of turning on somebody, maybe they're trying to tell you that they're bored with somebody, or they're trying to tell you that it needs to change. At the same time, she is onto something in that there is a subsection of these overzealous fans. And those same fans, for example, last night, they were chanting CM Punk at points. There was a match with Doudrop where they just didn't care, and they chanted CM Punk over that match. If WWE were to release Doudrop yesterday, which who knows, a lot of people are getting released. If they were to release Doudrop, those same fans would say, "Oh, how could you do that to poor Doudrop?" when they were chanting CM Punk during a match. But at the same time, I don't know if the move is to just outright blame the fans. There's just a lot going on with this, but Ronda Rousey really caused up a stir with this tweet.
Yeah.
It's a weird time right now, man. I mean, with these releases going on, with what AEW might be doing, with, the Adam Cole situation, the story that Wrestling Inc. broke about his contract already being up. I mean, it's just this is the strangest time in professional wrestling I could think of. There's so much uncertainty. There's uncertainty about live events. There's uncertainty about so much in the world right now. And with wrestling, I just feel like, it's just as crazy as everything else.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought up the Adam Cole situation, because that is our next story in terms of, yes, Wrestling Inc. did exclusively report that Adam Cole's contract was set to expire this month. And in a follow-up, no new offer has been made. This is coming from Fightful Select. According to Fightful Select, a source with influence within WWE noted that a new contract offer is obviously planned, to where they're probably getting a pitch ready. This Adam Cole situation really does feel like something slipped through the cracks, a lot like what happened with Aleister Black showing up on the competition just a month after he was released. But there seems to be a plan to offer Adam Cole a new contract. What I want to do, I want to ask you first, Issa, where do you think Adam Cole ends up this time, let's say in next month, 6 months, whenever his 90 days is up? Is he still in NXT, or does he jump ship somewhere else?
I think Adam Cole is a very, very talented individual, one of the best that we've seen in NXT, but he's accomplished everything there is to accomplish with him in NXT. He cannot become a lifer, because that's why NXT feels in a little bit of a lows like right now, because we have so many people that have been there for so long, and the track record with call-ups is so bad that if I am Adam Cole, I would explore possibilities elsewhere, right? I do think that Adam Cole seems like a very, very good fit for AEW, and I know that we don't want to say like, oh, AEW should hire all these people, but he is custom made for AEW, and I personally just don't trust the main roster treating Adam Cole the way that we would envision him being treated. So yeah, I would explore options, and I think AEW will be a great option for him.
But if Adam Cole's feeling like a 7th-year senior at NXT, does Samoa Joe feel like the guy that came back as a teacher's assistant just so he can hang out with all his old friends?
Samoa Joe's like the bully that got left back for beating people up, so he's just still got to repeat the 7th grade. That's what Samoa Joe is.
I love Samoa Joe, and I love seeing him back. But with Adam, he's got to do something, man. With AEW, I don't know. Like, does AEW need more Adam Cole types in it? I feel like they're pretty covered in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what the landscape's going to look like as they, go into Rampage. They're definitely going to need more bodies for that show. That's going to need to come off as an A show every single week, and you're going to need a lot of talent to do that. Even the talent they have, I think, would be enough for that. But in terms of having 2 shows that you need to make work, I think it's going to help them in the long run to have this type of talent, so they don't just burn through this roster quickly. And I do think that Adam Cole, I don't think it's even a question. I'd be shocked if he didn't show up in AEW, because, I mean, Adam Cole is like the AEW prototype. You look around, and just being bluntly honest, NXT is getting bigger and it's getting blacker, and Adam Cole is neither of those things. AEW, a lot of white people are succeeding in AEW, a lot of his friends, a lot of people who I think you can absolutely have great matches with, and I think Adam Cole, just like Kenny Omega, just like Chris Jericho, just like Orange Cassidy, just like a host of people, would go right into that prototype, and he would succeed in AEW. So if I was Adam Cole, I would take that into consideration, and I'm going to AEW.
Cheers. I have nothing else to add.
What are we drinking tonight, Issa?
Straight up Malibu. You just made me pull out. I'm about to do a shot to that speech that you just did, because he was so right.
No lies detected.
Get
into the Raw rating. The Raw rating is up actually slightly from last week, 1.821, which is actually very impressive. I know they did advertise Goldberg, and they've been advertising a lot of big names and whatnot. John Cena was on last week, but pretty impressive for Raw to be holding up against such stiff competition. Obviously, I think a lot of this is the fans being back, but Raw did about 1.821 million. The big angle was Goldberg and Lashley kind of going one-on-one head-to-head, and Goldberg spearing Lashley, setting that match up. So what are you guys' thoughts on Raw? How do you think it fares going into SummerSlam?
It was a horrible Raw. It was a horrible Raw last night. I'm sorry. There was nothing enjoyable about that episode. Nothing.
I watched The Incredible Shrinking Woman with Lily Tomlin last night, so that was
better than Raw.
Yeah, it was the first half. Raw. First half. Second half really goes downhill once they take onto a lap. But no, look, it's funny though, Alfred. To your point, this is the thing against the AEW Adam Cole argument. When they bring in Rusev, or they bring in someone that's been on the main roster, you could say this person has been seen by millions of people. They have a subset of exposure. Adam Cole, headlining the show, couldn't even beat AEW. So how is he going to bring in that new? I don't think he gets as much money as any other former main roster talent would, simply because his exposure is lower.
Right. No, that's a good point. I mean, I think it would be a story within the pro wrestling community. A lot of people within wrestling would be excited. It's the same AEW thing that's just going to get people excited about Adam Cole going to AEW. What they do with him is going to be important. Like, I do think that they could foster him and put him in a position to succeed. There's a lot of people who look like Adam Cole who do very well in AEW, and a lot of people who are his friends like BTE, but I mean, he also has friends in NXT. But I will say it's not just a friendship thing. It's just, I'm looking at who's going to put me in the best position to succeed. I could absolutely see AEW doing that.
Oh my God, having debut coming back to BTE, instead of putting him on a show, just putting him on an episode of BTE would be insane.
Yeah. He did get murdered off that show, so him just coming back to life somehow would be very funny.
It would be so epic, especially because everything goes on BTE, so it would be fun.
Rematch 50-50 booking Justin Lopez, $4.99, saying fans loved Bray and only turned on against him when WWE booked him like crap, and even that didn't prevent him from selling a crap ton of merch. Poor take. Yeah, Rhonda, that's what Justin Lopez thinks.
And they did have they had a lot of merchandise for Bray Wyatt, which I thought was very funny and low petty at Monday Raw. Listen, there were a lot of people who liked him, but okay, I will play devil's advocate again. Toward the end of the original Bray Wyatt, and I think this is what she was referencing, the original Bray Wyatt character, toward the end of that, he was kind of talking in riddles, and people didn't really connect with those promos because he was kind of talking in circles, and that was the feedback, and that people were toning him out, and they were just kind of bored with that character toward the end. My counter argument to that is the Fiend character was a WWE creation that was in their hands, that they were ready to put this guy over to the moon, where all he had to do was beat Seth Rollins inside Hell in a Cell, which I thought was a foregone conclusion. When that didn't happen, the character went into the tubes. So that was not the fans. That was completely in WWE's control.
I don't think that feud should have even happened. I don't think the Fiend should have gone after the title. I think Seth should have gone after someone. You put both guys in a lose-lose situation in that particular case. But I agree. Even if you want to go for it, then the Fiend should have been set at that Hell in a Cell. That was, oh God, that was so weird. But I see the point. But I just you gotta remember the entrances and this and that, and it's just like I saw people losing faith in him winning. Like, his promos stopped being credible, but I don't think he lost fan base or stopped selling merch. They were doing those Fiend like mystery boxes and like Firefly Funhouse boxes. They were like coming up with ideas after idea because everything was selling out. So I just don't think that Bray is. There's other names that have been released recently that I will say that's a better take for than Bray Wyatt.
Well, Bray in AEW, Bray anywhere, I think is going to have an audience that follows him. I think Bray, because he's got such an ability to reinvent himself. I'm trying to think of another modern wrestler who's been able, I mean, Chris Jericho obviously comes to mind, but who else has been able to just get over doing so many different things?
Right. I mean, we were just kind of having this conversation on Friday, and that wrestling is very nostalgic. The fans are nostalgic. The big knock on Cena with Roman Reigns is that he's doing the same thing week after week. But a lot of people do that, whether it's The Rock, whether it's Austin, and that's the point that Cena was making. But to that point, Bray Wyatt is somebody who does reinvent himself and kind of had to reinvent himself. I think Aleister Black as Malachi Black is doing a good job of that. And I think the value in seeing Bray Wyatt in AEW is he's such a creative force that I would want to see what a guy like that with a mind like that does in a place that isn't as structured in terms of how you have to filter your ideas. I feel like they would give him a lot more creative freedom there, and it would be very fun to watch Bray Wyatt perform under those circumstances if that's what he chooses to do.
I hope that American Horror Story hires him, and I want to see him get his try at writing horror movies or horror stories. I think he will be so amazing at that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I think he's capable of so much, and I don't know. I just think there's a lot of potential left. What else we got?
Somebody who still has potential even at his old age. He's a legend, so he will never not have potential. This is Ric Flair, ladies and gentlemen.
That's true. One more match.
Wrestling Inc.
One more reign.
Against Jay Lethal. No, I want to see Ric Flair and Jay Lethal. I don't think they probably paid that off. I want to see that match. Ric Flair, Wrestling Inc. again, all over these stories. Wrestling Inc. In conjunction with Fightful exclusively reported that Ric Flair had requested his release. There was a little back and forth. The Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer, reported that this was more of a McMahon decision, but Ric Flair seems to be speaking on behalf of Wrestling Inc. in terms of what that was reported, because he did issue an official statement saying, "I am officially able to respond to all the press related to my requested release from WWE, which they have given me. And I want to make it really clear with everyone that I'm not not upset with WWE at all. So there were some stories going around that Ric Flair had personally messaged Vince McMahon about Charlotte's booking. There's some consternation. But Ric Flair, it seems, has requested his release. He's been granted it. And he's not upset with WWE. Who knows if that's true or not, but he seems to be leaving and off to greener pastures. Where do you guys think he's going? Starting with you, Glenn.
How much do you think he left on the table? What do you think his Legends contract was? $100,000 a year?
I heard it was really good. I heard he got a pretty good coin. I don't know the exact number, but I think it was more than that.
Yeah, but there's got to be a calculation, right? He's got to figure stuff opening back up. He can hit the circuit. He can, do whatever he wants from here. Like, there's got to be, maybe Car Shield's renewing his deal. Like, I don't know. There's got to be some reason why he's thinking the dollars and cents of it makes sense.
Sure. He might be creatively frustrated. I mean, the last thing they had him do, they had him out there getting Lacey Evans pregnant. I'm not sure if Ric Flair much appreciated that. Maybe there was creative differences. Maybe there's other things he thinks he can be doing. Maybe he thinks he can get a bigger check from AEW. Maybe he'll be back with WWE, but I don't know. Are you looking for it? What do you think they could do with him in AEW, Issa? Would you be excited for Ric Flair in AEW?
Oh, hell yeah. Ric Flair versus Sting. Let's go. I'm kidding. Listen, maybe the guy just wants to do whatever he wants and being under that Legends contract any moment that they want him to come back and be with Charlotte on a storyline. And, there's like the traveling is picking up again. Ric Flair is like, he's not, he's a young grasshopper, right? He's not. So if he goes to AEW, I think the name value, but and he can cry on cue, which is impressive, but it's just just let him do whatever he wants at this point, It's Ric Flair. I just want him to be happy and not do dumb things that could put his health in danger.
This is probably better for Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of thinking that as much as they love each other and I know they're close and everything like that, but anybody having your dad come to work all the time, and I'm sure he's got that parental tendencies, and who knows whether those stories are true or not of him going to Vince and talking about Charlotte's booking, but that kind of strikes me as like a baseball dad going out of the field like, hey, my kid should be batting third in the lineup. What is he doing? You know what I mean? So maybe it's good that she gets a little distance from her father because she's a grown woman, and I'm sure she would like to make those calls.
That would have been a great story, though.
Do you think this gives Charlotte a possibility of actually leaving WWE? Because I always saw Charlotte as a WWE forever. She's such a star. But right now, with Andrade and Ric Flair both leaving, doesn't that make you wonder if she would leave, as well?
Yeah, and that's a great question, Issa. And I think there's a lot of people who agree with you that they think that Charlotte's a lifer. I don't think there's a such thing as a WWE lifer anymore in the climate that we're in. The only lifers are the ones who are signed to the 20-year contracts that Vince McMahon, decides that you're a lifer, like The Undertaker. But even then, I don't think anybody's a lifer. I think we are in, and this is a good thing for the business and economics of wrestling. We are in a time where the wrestlers have the leverage.
Shane McMahon to AEW confirmed. Steve Marcuccioli, $4.99, saying, what do you think about an NWO style angle in WWE with Adam Cole, Braun Strowman, and Cena in the Hogan role? A lot would have to happen to make that happen.
Yeah, I've heard that with CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and Adam Cole, which, whatever, but, it would be a weaker version of what we saw in the 90s, or maybe the creative would be that good. But, I don't want to see any NWO invasion type thing. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. No, if they're gonna do it, they need to do it in a whole different new level. Like, we need to stop trying to book what happened again, like the Attitude Era again, or the Monday Night Wars. No, let's do it differently.
You know what, though, with Andrade and AEW, now I'm thinking back to this for a second. That would be the wisest move they could do to really just elevate the AEW women's division and answer a lot of the criticisms of not taking it seriously and stacking it enough. That would add so much attention to that if Charlotte did go. If they were able to just get Rick, get Charlotte, get the whole thing.
Right.
They want to do, when her contract is up and when it's negotiation season, WWE is going to have to pony up because I really don't think that anybody's exclusive. So, this is a good thing for wrestlers making more money.
Hey, I've seen this one. Brett Murphy, $5.
Hey.
Alfred is a genius. Great call on the Dakota Raquel angle back in April.
Yes, you guys were here with us. Thank you very much. I would agree that I am a genius. That's very nice of you to say, but I think that's very factual. So thank you. And that's our news, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I'm not a genius.
You are.
Thank you.
I think you
Big
make some very valid
nasty
points.
genius. Big nasty genius.
We got to trademark that.
This could be your Xbox gamer tag. We open NXT tonight, the lowest rated NXT in history on Sci-Fi. After the show, I would have been here sooner, but they started playing The Fifth Element. I'm watching the credits, and I saw Luke Perry. And my wife and I talked for 5 minutes about Luke Perry was in The Fifth Element. Had no recollection of that.
Yeah.
None.
Love that.
But I watched the first few minutes. I was like, that is indeed Luke Perry. Okay, now I can go do the podcast. Now it's all good. We opened up tonight, Hit Row versus Legado del Fantasma. And if you enjoyed this tonight, it ended in DQ. Pretty sure it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
But what'd you think of the match? Alfred, to you first.
I thought it was fine. I didn't like the DQ finish. And this whole kind of feud has been a little bit off just because they were both heels. And I know that Hit Row is now babyface. I did like the kind of development afterwards and that they're kind of building toward this match. So that was good. But in terms of this match, it seemed like a waste given how it ended. And it wasn't the worst match or anything like that, but I was expecting a little bit more.
Issa?
Yeah, I agree. I thought I like that they opened hot. You know, I thought that it was fun that they started with it was refreshing to hear Hit Row being the first music that hit, because it gets you pumped up, especially as much as we've been liking them. I didn't like the finish. It's going to keep going, but if they're going to continue with it, I hope that they just wait until Takeover, like not do a different version of this with another weird finish and then we get it again at Takeover. So I hope that if they're gonna do it, just wait it out until Takeover. But yeah, overall it was great.
It's very good. I think Hit Row, breakout stars of NXT. It's been so fun to watch. And I apologize. I keep having to mute. I bought on eBay one of the last 6 packs of Tab Cola in existence because they stopped making it last year and this doesn't expire for like another 3 weeks. And I swear I do not remember Tab being this carbonated, but I probably haven't had Tab since 1982.
You should keep one of those and like just not open it because it's
never open it.
Yeah, in like 10 years, the thing's gonna be worth a lot of money.
True. Someone's trying to sell an unopened can of Hubba Bubba soda on eBay for like $1,000.
I know somebody who did. Remember when they made the new Coke? Or it was like the clear Coke.
Yeah,
somebody had that, and they made a bunch. I think it was like $2,000 they made off of that.
Damn. Well,
I never heard of Tab in my life.
Tab was the original Diet Cola. This is like Diet. It's like if you want a Diet Coke that's not sweet in the least, that is Tab. Like it's a little bitter. It's very weird. It's not good, but you know, I had one last time before all the cans expire, drinking the Tab, but it's got me, like just feeling a lot of air, a lot of carbonation in that. So
here's a deep reference. The Sarah Silverman show on Comedy Central had an episode about Tab. And if you like Tab, I think you'll love the episode. It's very funny.
I'll have to watch that. I do like to laugh.
Yeah. So no, I said if you like Tab.
And I like to laugh.
And you like to laugh, okay. I do like to laugh.
Well, that's the thing. That's my go-to thing. When people are like, let me show you something funny. Well, I do like to laugh. Anyhow. Oh, dude, last night we went down a rabbit hole after I saw we were watching the Saturday morning cartoon rip on Saturday morning with like Kid Video and Gummy Bears. And I've had the Gummy Bears theme stuck in my head all week. I was watching Postmodern Jukebox, did like a slow jam of the Gummy Bears theme. That is like super legit. Very good. Very impressive.
I'll check it out.
Oh man, but F the Snorks. Nobody likes the Snorks. That's some bootleg Smurf shit. Anyhow, so yeah, this caused a DQ when Escobar threw a steel chair, and then after they got into it, we saw William Regal backstage with Samoa Joe saying you got to make sure he stays away from Karrion Kross before Takeover 36. Saw Ridge Holland's return last week, and we had Ridge Holland versus Ikemen Jiro tonight in a match. Ridge getting a pretty easy win, but Issa, are you excited for Ridge Holland being back?
No, I'm excited for, I'm sorry, what's his name again?
Ikemen
The jacket.
Jiro.
Yes, thank you. I love him so much. That jacket was amazing. There was a lot of very interesting fashion in the ring tonight. You know, you had his jacket, and you had Cameron Grimes wrestling in his Butler uniform. Like tonight, deliver when it comes to variety in outfits, when it comes to in-ring action. But I feel bad because now this is his second loss, and it's just like, okay, so we're going to do the breakout tournament to have all the losers keep losing, you know, like I was hoping that they would do something with the people that didn't make it to the next bracket in which you can showcase them again.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rick Holland looked great. He looked great.
Yeah, no, I thought he looked great too. And Ike Manjaro is very entertaining in defeat. He's just a very charismatic, entertaining guy. I hope they do more with him, but he's very fun to watch, whatever he's doing.
Birdie DC, interesting point in the opening match, saying if they bring a female into Legado del Fantasma to offset Brianna in Hit Row, that would be interesting. That would kind of up things a little bit.
Now with Rich Holland, he had a strange. He's right. No, he said NYC Diva.
I speak Spanish. I can help him out.
I can help. They did have a weird. Did you guys see that entrance that Rich Holland had, where he looked like he had a gun? I thought that's what it was. It was that smoky thing, but it was weird because it was like back to back with the Dexter Loomis segment, and then it was this weird thing, and then the background changed, and all of a sudden he was in the stadium. I thought that was a very weird entrance.
And like a Billy Club.
Yeah.
It was back to back with Dexter Loomis. I think they should do that by itself, and it would have looked a lot cooler. Because
it was a look that Ridge was sporting tonight during that promo.
Yes, it was.
Dilo 299 saying Issa put on your Jericho Festival friendship. Wait, this is what I want to think about. Issa, have you done any manager work, ring work? I feel like you'd be a natural for promos.
I never have. No.
Gotta
get you some booked, some time on the mic.
I know.
Can you rap, Issa? Because you might have to battle.
It's true.
If you were to join.
I'll go all into my Spanish reggaeton. But yes, I can.
So Rich Holland won the match. Dunn and Lorcan joined him, and they were taunting. And Dunn was putting Holland over. They were taunting and threatening Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. And then, the Robert Stone brand. So Frankie Mona is taken over, folks. Frankie's so much better than this.
Yes.
And Robert Stone looking just like nothing. Like, yes, I'm all on board. All on board with Frankie.
Yeah, oh man, I don't know. I don't like where we're going with Frankie. I need them to reel it back and make her a little more. I don't know. I thought she was gonna feud with Io or just something different. I'm not liking this.
Yeah, it seems like she's kind of settling into a comedy role, which kind of scares me. I think she lost far too early. She didn't even get a one-on-one singles feud, but there needs to be more done with this. And I'm afraid that for now, for the time being, and this is when they're peaking toward a really big pay-per-view, she's just kind of mired in this comedy segment.
Yeah, and the last pay-per-view, I think she was there, but like not fully debuted, right? Like the fact that we're gonna go through I guess it wasn't a pay-per-view, it was like a network special. But regardless, the fact that we're gonna go into another one, she doesn't have a significant feud, just makes me worried. Then they might as well just bring her up straight to the main roster, because I do think she was straight to the main roster material. They're not doing anything to develop her in NXT right now, so why keep her there?
Yeah. Very, very strange. Very strange.
Yeah.
So she's taken over the Robert Stone brand. Then we had Bobby Fish versus Roderick Strong.
Seriously, Jesus.
Yeah, this is where I started to wane. This is when I started Googling, is the Gathering of the Juggalos still happening next month?
Are you going to be there?
I've always wanted to go. Since the first one. Well, not this year for obvious reasons.
Okay, fine.
One day I'm gonna. Justin's been there. They have a huge wrestling presence at the Gathering.
Oh yeah, they do. They're in WCW, and they really built a wrestling following after that. They have their own promotion for a while.
Yes, but no, that's what I was looking up during this match. That was my level of interest in Roderick Strong versus Bobby Fish, and I was like, and I was a fantasy in my head. And I'm like, now my theory is Violent J is pro-vaccine, but Shaggy Two Dope has reservations about it. And like I was like trying to confirm if there was some drama perhaps in the Juggalo community just to get their take on things. But alas, I was not able to find out any information. That being said, Alfred, what did you think of this match?
Too much internet wrestling going on. This is one of those matches that on paper you'll say, oh, Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong, and people will think that that's what wow, that's going to be great wrestling. But that's all it was. It was wrestling for the sake of wrestling between two guys I know nothing about. They haven't really developed any of these characters. It was fine technically, but I couldn't care less about what went on here. This is professional wrestling. We don't need to take it too seriously. And I think that's the danger of this Diamond Mine thing, is they're kind of treating wrestling like it's real, but they don't have any of these dynamic characters to get you to care. So they need to split these guys up, because both these guys need somebody who's like a heater or a character or personality to play off of, because I do not want to see wrestling for the sake of wrestling. You talk about a low rating. That'll do a low rating every time if that's all you have to offer.
Yeah, I was distracted by the fish on Bobby Fish trunk. Like I could not just stop staring at it, and then it made me think of Bunfish Grill, and like I was like, where have I ever eaten there? And like I literally went. I think I was in South Bend, Indiana, and I ate at a Bunfish Grill, and it had the same logo. Like that's literally what was going through my mind at that time. I really feel bad for Diamond Mine at this point. Like it was so different the way that expectations versus reality, right? The way like we were seeing these video packages and what we were to expect to what it's turning out to be. I still think you can still turn it around, but this was just it was just not my cup of tea. I didn't need it.
Yes. Joey Adorjan, you've just been promoted to moderator in the Wrestling Inc. chat. If you could help us with this. Looking for other names I recognize. Oh, no, and Tammy's in there. Tammy, thank you for trying to help out as well with moderating this. What's YouTube chatbots?
Yeah,
that's how some people want to spend their time. Whatevs. So after this match, how was Bonefish Grill? Do you think they have vegan options there?
Oh, they must.
Yeah, I would think so.
It was years ago, so I really can't remember what I might have just drank. That's typically what I do when I go out.
It's true. A lot of vegan alcohol.
Yep.
So LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, his butler, versus the Grizzled Young Veterans tonight. Grizzled Young Veterans picking up a win, but that's not what it's about. It's about Ted DiBiase talking to Grimes, saying he's got to find a way to get out of this. You'd think someone with so much money would have a pretty good lawyer that they could get
to
help review that. That's got to be where it's going next, right?
Yep.
You mean like a legal situation?
Something. I mean, they got to keep going. Oh, but them as a tag team, I thought kind of worked, though. I'd like to see that a little bit longer before, they go one-on-one again.
That was my takeaway from this. I mean, LA Knight turned on him at the end, and they're clearly building toward the singles feud, but the little that they did together, like everything else they've been doing together, I thought these two were great. And WWE does such a good job with these strange bedfellows that if that's ever the plan, if maybe LA Knight humbles himself and comes to his senses and ends up being a babyface, I think they'd make a very fun, popular tag team. But I did like what I saw out of these guys. And I don't think it's going to a legal thing. I think the thing that makes Cameron Grimes such a babyface is he's a man of his word. And that's what he's kind of articulated at Ted DiBiase, is that he's doing what he thought Ted DiBiase wanted him to do in terms of the honor code. But DiBiase is like the kind of mentor and the coach trying to get his confidence back. And I really like that storytelling. I love everything they're doing with this. And Cameron Grimes in a tuxedo wrestling was actually really good. Very good.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it. I thought him wrestling in the butler uniform was just such a nice touch. And Cameron Grimes is so likable. I love when he ripped off the shirt. You saw the buttons fly out. And I love seeing Ted DiBiase come out at the end and kind of give him a little bit of advice. I am just a little bit worried about them going one-on-one again and the next takeover. It's just like, how long are we going to do this for? But outside of that, the storytelling, the vignettes, I don't get tired of. It's just that I don't need to see them constantly go one-on-one in every special that they do.
Yeah. I think they're still them and Hit Row, man. Just give me 2 hours of that every week, and I'm happy with a little bit of the index story.
I will say, though, Grizzled Young Vets, because they haven't been on TV in a while, and I remember there was a period of time they were on TV, and maybe they were on TV too much, so I took them for granted, but I forgot how good they were. These guys are very solid in terms of a tag team and how they work. It's good that they wrestled like a Cameron Grimes because he's got more of the entertaining personality and whatnot, but I thought the Grizzled Young Vets were very good in this tag team match.
Yeah. I saw this. Do you have the complete story on this, on what Bear Hudson's talking about, Alfred, this promo?
The Bear Hudson?
But no, Bear Hudson, $10 super chat saying he wants to address something today. There was an Acclaim segment today, I guess on AEW Dark, rapping using an R joke, I believe a sexual assault joke, and poking fun at mental health. It was disrespectful and out of line, regardless of the promotion. Please do better. That does seem very, I was thinking about this, Alfred. You had some good points about AEW. I know you've been tweeting about that lately. I feel like for a company that really pitched themselves early on being so inclusive, and I don't want to say that they promoted themselves as woke, but they did really try and say they were going to provide this more enlightened, progressive alternative to WWE. It does seem like that hasn't really panned out.
I mean, it has not, especially where we are now, you know, obviously, and it's important for us to kind of talk about these things, and I'm not afraid to talk about things like that and to just kind of raise awareness for that. You know, I'm not necessarily telling you how to run your wrestling company. I'm just telling you how I see professional wrestling, and I have a perspective that whether it connects with people or not, I think it's healthy to at least discuss this. I will say this because I did see some consternation of people getting upset. I haven't seen the actual clip, but I have seen people getting upset about what happened. I'm starting to watch that. I will say though, it's kind of twofold. I'm not going to defend this at all because you know, I'm not a fan of punching down like that. But there are no rules in hip hop, and when I look at Max Caster and this gimmick, the thing that works about it is Max Caster is hip hop. Like that is an authentically hip hop gimmick where he does not pull any punches. He doesn't say anything that's like TV PG hip hop. He goes all the way. And the fact that that's in there, this is always going to be a blowback in terms of that hip hop culture. And it's something that, again, as a big fan of hip hop, I do have pause in that it can be homophobic. There's no rules. There's a lot that you say in hip hop that gets a reaction that is not politically correct. So the hip hop head in me doesn't have a problem with this, but Alfred Konuwa, the person, does in terms of a national televised product saying words like that. It can be a problem. And he just has to deal with the consequences if, like, a sponsor steps forward and says something like we saw last week.
I saw the clip and I just didn't think it was called for. Like, it was very uncalled for. I didn't like it, and I am personally, like, I enjoy hip hop. It's actually my music of choice. But I did see the clip and it didn't feel tasteful. And I am someone that, like Alfred said, I would appreciate a good battle, a good this, but this one just didn't hit with me. That's all. It felt disrespectful, and it just wasn't a take that I was like, that wasn't it. And I am one to pop for a good burn on a freestyle or whatever. But this one, I just didn't, I didn't see it. And I was able to see the clip before I started seeing the outrage that came out of it. So I was able to view it like unbiased, and I still was like, yeah, that's not it, buddy. Yeah, it just didn't hit the way that he intended.
I mean, there are some artists that I don't want to say get away with it, but it's like Eminem can pretty much say anything, and it seems like he's beyond controversy. I think there are some other hip hop artists that have been able to do that, but I just think in this day and age, if you're not established, let me put it this way: the way Eminem established himself in being the guy that just really like went there with the most outlandish, inappropriate stuff, I don't think an artist could launch today using that as their calling card.
I think the rule of thumb with that, because even at the time Eminem was saying this stuff, it was jacked up. The rule of thumb has always been, this goes with comedy, this goes with hip hop. If you're as nice as Eminem is, and for my money, we don't have to get into this. He's the greatest rapper of all time to me, but that's a whole other conversation. In terms of lyricists, Eminem's an incredible lyricist. So if you're that good lyrically and you say something messed up, he's so good lyrically that's what stood out. So if you, Max Caster to me, and this is my thing, my hang up with outrage culture, is that I think the bar, I'm going to have to go back and see it. Maybe the bar, what he said was not as good lyrically. So what stood out was what he said. But if he would have rhymed the R word with something else and it was a good lyric, maybe people wouldn't have as much a problem with that. So it's almost like a two-edged sword where a lot of times there is shock humor or shock rap. But if it's good and talented, people won't have as big of a problem.
And that's the difference. You can go back and listen to Eminem and be like, there's still a lot of artistry here. You can go back and listen to NWA, and even a lot of stuff, a lot of Eazy-E's lyrics do not fit well with the current climate. And then the other night we were talking about Two Live Crew. Go back and listen to anything except maybe Me So Horny, and you're just like, ooh, I don't think they had the talent to pull this off then. Like, it's really aged poorly. It's interesting though, but seeing the reaction to it, I think because AEW has marketed themselves that way, I think to their audience especially, it's gonna be even more poorly received. And I almost wonder too, this is kind of an interesting question, because I mean, they obviously had the thing that happened with Sammy and his comment that he made a long time ago. I wonder if because their system doesn't come up through developmental, I think if you're going through NXT and you're going through WWE, like, you were probably media coached to the point where you don't want to say anything that's like political. Like, you don't want to say anything that is not a pre-approved line on the air. You were probably so like just controlled at a certain point. AEW doesn't have that sort of system in place.
That's a great point. There is I mean, it's kind of live by the sword, die by the sword. We were talking about Bray Wyatt and that him going to AEW, you'd have all this creative freedom with people do have. The other side of that coin is you're on a national televised company. So that creative freedom can get away from you. And if you decide to take a pizza cutter out and slice a 50-year-old man on TV, somebody might have a problem with that. And you might have to answer for those consequences.
Think about Roman Reigns.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Roman Reigns made a reference to the missionary position, and people popped like it was the most controversial, outrageous thing in WWE had ever said. You know, because by their standard, that was edgy.
Right.
That's not what they popped for. They popped because of imagination. Maybe it was just me, but my imagination.
You're protecting yourself.
Listen, I was just going to say I do feel like their developmental is dark. And for the record, that is where this aired. They didn't air this on TNT. They aired it on Dark on their YouTube channel, which gets nowhere near as many views as their Dynamite shows get. So I do think that Dark is their way of trying to develop these talents. Problem is that I think Dark is celebrating their 100th episode, so they have Moxley is wrestling on Dark tonight. Therefore, you're going to get a lot of people that are going to tune into Dark that are not watching it before, and that's what they're going to see.
Wow.
Yeah. King Rail, $5, saying, I want to apologize to you guys for the a-hole spamming the chat. You guys are chilling, don't deserve crap like that. Thanks, King Rail.
Thank you, King.
Bernie DC, I made you a mod also, if you want to help clean this up. I'm looking for regulars that I recognize that I'm going to entrust with mod powers so we can smack this down. Grizzled Young Vets, I just hate the name, the Grizzled Young Veterans. Yeah. I just think it's the dumbest name in all professional wrestling.
It's so contradictory. How are you grizzly and young and a veteran? It makes no sense.
I feel like they were trying too hard. I feel like I don't want to say there were substances involved, but that feels like one of those things where you're just like, oh, dude, I got it. Grizzled Young Veterans. Get it? Because it's like, which one of these words is not like the other? Yeah.
Maybe that's how it went.
Terrence Whitted, $5. Did Caster get his comeuppance? Also, the pizza cutter thing is overblown. Still going to eat that shitty pizza.
Shout out to Domino's.
I'm blessed to live in an area where franchise pizza is not what we order. So I don't care what seriously. Domino's has to say. If you catch me ordering Domino's, I must be suicidal or something.
I will say when they redid it like 10 years ago, it got better, but it's still not good. And Marco's Pizza doesn't actually exist. I believe it's a grand hoax that's trying to be perpetrated on me. So after that match, Ted DiBiase's hyping Grimes up, telling him he's got to find a way to get out of the situation. So we'll see what happens there. Big promo hyping Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross tonight. And then a bigger segment showing what happened with Dakota Kai turning on Raquel Gonzalez last week. And Dakota Kai, what did you think of her explaining her reasons, Issa?
Before I talk about Dakota Kai, I just want to say real quick, don't show these vignettes because it just brings up the old NXT and it makes it very hard to watch today's NXT when you're seeing Samoa Joe and Shinsuke and Finn Balor and you just go back to those glory days of NXT, right? It was tough to watch because I was like, oh my God, I missed that. That being said, I like the Dakota Kai video package and her, speaking her mind. She made me look at it differently. I love the throwback to what Alfred said, the big nasty genius, about how they recorded that moment and they were able to just pull it right out of their back pocket. Absolutely love that. I want to see Raquel's response. I want to see if I can buy Raquel as a babyface.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that because we were even talking last week. I think somebody in the chat had said, "Oh, it seems so random that Dakota Kai had turned on Raquel." But what I like about this, it was very subtle, and it's not like it's this bold prediction. It was just something that we had hoped it would happen in terms of these two when they break up. And NXT just kind of rewarded people from paying attention because ever since that night where they had that three-way celebration, and it kind of did seem like they were planting the seeds for Dakota and Raquel, I always paid attention to Dakota Kai whenever Raquel was speaking, and she'd always make a face or there would something happen. And when they showed this trailer, a lot of those little facial expressions she made in the background were shown in this trailer. So this was a very intricately built feud over the course of 4 months. And it had shades of like how WWE used to book in the 80s with like Hogan and Savage, where Hogan would hug Liz and Savage would get kind of a weird look, but yeah, okay, it's fine. And then as it went on, you'd start to see the eyes, and then it would start to get more and more intense. And they built up the feud over a long period of time. So I appreciate the long-term storytelling for Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez.
I also like how she mentioned how she won the NXT title and stopped caring about the tag titles, because I agree with that too. It was like, why would she care about whether they get their tag titles back or not? She's the NXT champion, you know? So I love that Dakota, you know, kind of brought that up. Like, maybe she would have just stuck with me as tag champs. We wouldn't be having this issue.
Right.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the match, and we got a couple weeks to build it still.
It'll be interesting because, you know, she's one of the smallest people in NXT. And I only know that because they stuffed her in a locker one time. So, like, she's very small. And Raquel Gonzalez is the biggest woman they have. And Dakota's supposed to be the heel. So it'll be very interesting, but I'm sure they'll make it work.
Yeah. We shall see. Then we had a promo with Johnny and Candice hyping tonight's lover or loser match against Dexter Loomis. Promo for Joe Gacy in tonight's breakout tournament against Trey Baxter. What'd you think of that match tonight, Alfred?
I think it was fine. It was another surprising result. You know, for all this, a lot of people were kind of paranoid about, oh, these big guys are coming to run over NXT. Big guys went 2-2. Like, two smaller guys won the big guys, two bigger guys won the smaller guys. It looks like Duke Hudson is the favorite, but I was very surprised by this result. I do like Trey Baxter. He's kind of a veteran who's now coming into his own, journeyman coming into NXT and finally getting his shot. So I thought he looked very good.
I felt the opposite. I really like Gacy here, and I was very disappointed that he didn't win. We'll see where they go with him, but I was really rooting for him. I love the way that he came off. I like the entrance and the presentation. He looked intimidating, and I was actually rooting for him to win. So I was a little sad, but I was more familiar with him than I was with Baxter, so that might be why.
Yeah, no, I thought Gacy looked great. He looked very impressive. I too was very surprised. I was surprised at all the big. I did think that the big guys were going to run through this tournament, but this is one where I was certain that Gacy was going to win because he does have a very impressive look. He kind of commands your attention.
Do you think that they gave him gave Baxter the win just for shock factor?
Oh,
they might have. Maybe they just have a plan and they're they don't want these big guys to go too far and then get beat one after another. So they're trying to kind of pull away from that. And they want Duke Hudson or whoever wins to be like the big featured attraction. So it doesn't take away from them. But yeah, I was very surprised that Gacy lost this match.
Yeah.
And then what was after that? Trey Baxter won. Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark, not a fan of sushi.
What a segment.
This was like a great comedy sketch from 1987.
I mean, they were pretty much doing When Harry Met Sally in some ways, like the kind of dinner segment or when they were at the diner. But I'm glad I'm just glad they let Zoe Stark kind of show off her personality because she's just been all wrestling. She very rarely gets to really talk. She's very good in terms of her facials, in terms of how she was reacting to the segment. I think they need more time to kind of develop that chemistry, but this could be fun.
I personally, it went from like commercials to this. So it took me a second to realize that the show was back on. I like looked up and then went back to like scrolling, and then I look up and I'm like, wait, that's Io. Like, this is not a commercial. This is the actual show. So I might have missed like the first little bit of it, but I did think Zoe was very cute in this trying. She's just trying to win Io over, and it's cute to watch.
Yeah. Bear Hudson, thanks for the additional super chat, pointing out that, again, in addition to the joke not being funny, it's commendable that Hit Row finds a way to rap without the controversy. Yeah. Do you think when Hit Row did the cipher, actually, this is a mental image, to try and lighten the subject a little bit. Can you imagine Hit Row doing the cipher? And I'm going to guess it was HBK that had to sit there and be like, wait, and what did you say there? And what did you say there? And he was like writing it down and taking notes, wearing like his old man glasses. He was like, okay, I think that's okay. And I think that's okay.
I would love to see. They need to have behind the scene footage like that where Shawn Michaels has to approve your bars and look over it.
I'm now just thinking of Wu-Tang Clan on the Larry Sanders Show.
I think they should have the NXT people like give them secret words that they have to rhyme in there, but they only know what it is. So like, they're doing a rhyme and all of a sudden they have to say boito and you go, what? And that's what Shawn Michaels told them they had to include. Like, that would be so much fun.
Well, I guarantee you AEW is not going to let any rapping go on the air without clearing those lyrics first after the blowback they're getting online tonight.
And that is a great point about Hit Row. And I brought this up early on about Hit Row. The most impressive thing to me, particularly about Top Dollar, is he brings that kind of street rugged edge. He's got fantastic delivery. And when you look up when he's done with his rap, it's like he didn't curse once. He didn't say anything offensive, but it was edgy. It was still edgy. It was good rapping. He just dances around the things that you say that are edgy and kind of puts it in your mind, which is an art in and of itself. So yeah, I agree with that. There's a way to do it.
Although, man, now I'm like, Alfred, are we old? Because now I'm thinking about that argument used to be like, you don't have to swear or make inappropriate comments to be edgy. You can still have an edge without dropping an F-bomb.
That is an old man argument. Yeah, I used to, to this day, I only buy an album if it has a parental advisory sticker. But to that point, it's like now we're like, hey, calm down, gentlemen. Come on, keep it clean, gentlemen.
Hey, man, DC Talk's I Love Rap Music was fire.
DC Talk, Christian rap. Yeah, they're actually fire. They're very good.
DC Talk is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like Jesus Freak, phenomenal single, phenomenal record. And I like the earlier rap stuff quite a bit. But I like about DC Talk.
I'm a huge fan of DC Talk.
If there was a style or a trend, DC Talk was very, very quick to make that their sound. And I respect that about them.
Yeah. They're good. They're good on their own merits. I don't like, they're always talked about one of the greatest Christian rock. I didn't even know they were Christian rock because I listened to them when I was a kid. I didn't even know they were a Christian rock band. I just thought they were really good. Or a rap band.
It's true.
Right.
Jesus Freak is like probably one of the greatest rap metal songs of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Last night I was trying to defend Limp Bizkit. We were watching their Lollapalooza performance.
Oh,
and my wife was like, people like this. And I'm like, well, that's Wes Borland. He's the talented one in the group. Now he runs a cat sanctuary in Detroit. He's really just doing this for the money.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes, this was once groundbreaking music. I'm not sure if it's good, but I kind of like it on some twisted level. So after the sushi restaurant, Indy tonight cutting a promo ahead of the match. We had Karrion Kross storm over with the mic, address Samoa Joe. Man, they're really so all in on this. This should be the biggest takeover in years. And I feel like they're almost hyping Dragunov versus Walter just a little bit less, but they're still hyping it a lot. I mean, Kross versus Joe. I mean, if this wasn't Joe, there's not a single other talent in NXT that Kross could be facing that would get people this excited.
You're right.
Are you excited for it? Because the way that they're treating Karrion Kross on Raw is making me a little non-invested into this. And it sucks for Samoa Joe because I have been waiting to see him back in the ring. But if you're keeping up with all the product, you're not excited to see Karrion Kross. You heard the reaction tonight, and there was no reaction to Karrion Kross on Raw last night. And it's just like, just put the title on Samoa Joe and let's just move on from this. And I feel bad because at one point I was all in on Karrion Kross, and this is, I don't know what they're doing with him right now. I don't. I'm baffled. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I watched this, and it feels like I'm watching this feud in hindsight. Like, they haven't even had the match yet, but it's like, oh man, if Karrion Kross would have been handled correctly, this would be great because they're doing everything right. There's the intensity is there, Karrion Kross on NXT is treated like a big star, but I watch Raw. I'm not one of these people who they think that they can, they don't really pay attention to that. It's a whole different universe. No. These people, to Issa's point, in Chicago saw Karrion Kross lose, so they don't care about him anymore. Like, he's a guy who just keeps losing, so he gets no reaction over there. And when he comes on NXT, it's a different thing. The people who in NXT, they watch Raw. So the word on the street is, and I didn't read the spoilers, but I did hear stories that they were chanting for Jeff Hardy during the segment. And you could tell.
Yeah, and they had to retape it.
That's right.
Heavily edited the segment. So this whole thing is kind of starting to get away from them in that I don't know about this philosophy that you could treat him one way on one show and then the next night.
If you would have never had Karrion Kross debut on Raw, and the last vision that we see is him putting Samoa Joe to sleep. Then he takes out Regal. And then he shows up tonight like that. This will be a whole different program. Absolutely. I don't know why they had to bring him up to Raw at this particular time. And maybe they didn't want Samoa Joe to deliver the first loss. I personally, up until the Raw thing, I thought he should beat Samoa Joe too. If you really wanted to make him the monster that you were trying to make him. Now I lost all interest. And it's sad. Because it's unfair for Samoa Joe, who we waiting years for this, and it's just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. I mean, it's only frustrating because I had no problem with the segment itself. Although I would have rather Karrion Kross not run away from Samoa Joe, but I had no problem with the segment itself. It's just, it seems like he's damaged goods. I feel like now, because the goal in NXT presumably is for these guys to go to the main roster, I've already seen that start to play out, and to me, he's dead. So it's like watching The Walking Dead. It's like, but I don't think you have a future, my guy. Why should I care?
Right before he did Married with Children, Ed O'Neill was a famous Chicago stage actor, and he was in a lot of bit parts and character stuff. They made an adaptation of the book Flight of the Intruder, and he was in a big court scene. They shot the movie. Married with Children comes on the air. They test screen the movie. Everyone starts yelling out Bundy during his scene. So once you're associated one way, it's kind of hard to shake that.
Yeah. But he did recover. He you know, a Modern Family was very big for him.
True.
He was on Dragnet, which was very underrated.
I loved Dragnet.
Yeah.
And he reunited with Ethan Embry from Dutch, but Ethan was an adult and like talking all whispery and he looked all sullen all the time.
He played that up.
Oh man, LA Dragnet was so good, and like 2 seasons. I think it's all on Hulu. If you like the original Law and Order, watch LA Dragnet. It's very, very solid procedural. Cito Gomez, $4.99. What's in NXT's future? The whole Cross Lee thing on Raw. What happens on Raw is a different universe. Is Joe going to win? What after? What the hell is going on? LOL.
That's the intrigue for me in this match. Is like, you know, Joe might win it. They might need to just cut their losses and have Joe win this match. But I mean, where does Karrion Kross go after this if Joe wins? Does he just reunite with Scarlett and they hope that he's a fresh coat of paint on the main roster? But I think Joe should win this match. At this point, why not?
Yes. Yeah, agree.
You were talking about this earlier, and off the air, I was talking with Issa about the Ricky Martin behind the music on Paramount Plus, which Bad Bunny and Menudo are like 25% of that thing. But I was watching, they have a new behind the music on LL Cool J they updated on Paramount Plus. Eminem is all over that thing, and I am now convinced he ghost wrote the Ripper Strikes Back, the diss against cannabis. Because I was like, LL and M were like this, and it really makes sense, and was the best freestyle battle rapper in the country in like 97, 98. He absolutely wrote those lyrics.
And Eminem hated cannabis. I think he still does. Hated cannabis.
Yeah.
And that was like, I mean, LL's probably got like 20. Hard to rank the top LL songs, but that is definitely in the top LL.
Oh, yeah,
songs.
for sure.
1000%.
Yes. I still have this mix, and I don't know where I got it from. A DJ put together like the 4-3-2-1 track, and then the cannabis record, then the LL response and the Clef response. They're like all mixed together. I have like one 15-minute long MP3 file, and I have no clue where I got it. I think it was off Napster, but I still listen to that probably about 3 times a year.
Yeah, and Rip the Cracker by Canvas was a bad track. I mean, you're good. Bad isn't good. Like a tough tune, really good.
Well, song. You know what's funny? I didn't know there were like 5 more chapters to it because I just have this MP3 with like the original songs. But then after Clef, I wasn't aware that it went on beyond that. They really ran that into the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like not as bad as the Roxanne Wars, but it was pretty close. So let's Samoa Joe put the coquina clutch on security. Kushida impressed with Roderick Strong, so I'm pretty sure they're gonna go for the cruiserweight title at the takeover. And then the main event tonight, the love her or lose her match, Johnny Gargano versus Dexter Loomis, and it was all moot. It was a moot point because Johnny Gargano won, but then Indy couldn't take it, ran out there and started making out with Dexter.
That was intense. The makeout was intense. Worth the wait, huh? They really went at it, but then why have the match? I guess you know what I mean. Like, what was the point of the whole? I thought that Gargano was losing I thought Dexter was gonna go over, so I was a little disappointed at the end. Then I mean, I'm glad they got their kiss and Index lives forever. Does this mean that Indy now is going to step away from the way?
Yeah, I could see a mixed tag team match. I mean, that's where it has to go. Index versus Gargano and Candice LeRae. I'm with you, East. I don't like the fact that they built toward. They spent weeks building toward this stipulation, and they just shrugged it off. And I think it hurt the reaction. I think we're all kind of waiting for them to kiss so we can all explode. But because he lost, it brought the crowd down, and then she immediately ran back in. And so they're like, okay, good for you guys. And that's not the reaction that I think it should have done. I thought he was going to win when he rolled up Johnny Gargano.
Yes.
So now you're going to build toward this slow moment where they kiss, and I don't like that they had him lose.
Yeah, they could have prolonged this longer because I think NXT TakeOver in front of a crowd, maybe have that they did the mixed tab, maybe have it that they were together, but they were being like super chaste and like.
Well, it's gonna be in front of the same crowd. It's gonna be the same.
They're gonna pre-tape the whole thing.
Probably they might have pre-taped it that night. I was also going to bring that up, and I do think, Alfred, that you're right. It probably hurt the reaction, but I do think you could tell this was hour 3 and 4 of a pre-tape audience. Yeah. The audience was dead. They did not help this show. This was a show that if it wasn't because we covered it, I would have probably missed it or skipped it at some point, would have changed the channel and caught it on DVR later, honestly.
I got DC Cap downloaded and ready to watch downstairs, and that's absolutely what I would have been doing had I not. Yeah. Never saw DC Cab before. Looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a good one. Is he? I know Mr. T's in it. Irene Cara's in it. There's a lot of people in DC Cab. I think Gary Busey's in it. I got to look this up.
I will say my favorite thing about this match was, even though it was a comedy match, like they were so committed. Like when Johnny Gargano, when he pinned Dexter Loomis, gave Indy this look like a dad gives his daughter, like, I know this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Yeah.
And he like committed. He was not trying to be funny.
And when he went up to Beth Phoenix, and he was like, "This is all your fault."
It was good.
Like, he was like, "Stop! I believe in love. Okay, the heart was what it was." And I'm like, "Yes." I cannot believe how invested I am in this. I was so invested.
Oh, this is going to keep going. The mixed tag is going to be awesome. And yes, I confirm Bill Maher is in DC Cab.
Yes, I thought so.
Paul Rodriguez, a lot of people are in this. Looking forward to it. This will be good tonight. So I like this match. It's going to continue. The mixed tag, I think, will be great. Great way to continue the feud. But I think, so this, Grimes and LA Knight and Hit Row, just give me 2 hours of that every week, and I'm good.
Yeah. Although that Walter and Dragunov segment was really good. The kind of back and forth they did.
The hype packages were good tonight. The video packages were good tonight. We just didn't need so many of them, but I think they were planning for the show to be a low-rated show, especially based on the numbers last week. I did think they tried a little bit more last week than they did this week, but it was okay.
That's the
just okay. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know, didn't they kick someone out of the pre-tape that was there last week, a fan, because they were afraid of like stuff leaking?
Yeah, I heard they did.
And why? But why? Because like everybody, I ran into spoilers without even wanting to. People were posting them all over the place. And of course, Tony Khan and AEW jumped all over that. And now this guy is going to Homecoming tomorrow.
Oh, well, there you go.
Good PR move. Did you not see it? They were like, hey. Tony Khan responded to his tweet where he tweeted that, he got kicked out. And Tony Khan was like, "We look forward to welcoming you." And I'm like, yo, PR, marketing. Way to go, buddy. Way to go, buddy.
That's great.
I love it. Wrestling is petty right now, and I'm here for it.
It's so petty. It's hate and pettiness. So, you know what? You're right. Yeah. It's great promoting. It's great marketing for the brand, whatever.
Absolutely. Chat room also has a lot to say about DC Cab. I've apparently just opened something here. There's a lot of DC Cab discussion going on in the chat. But no, I mean, tonight, I don't know. It is what it is. Like, this was a fine episode. It was nice. It was on Sci-Fi. Got more promos for that Chucky series. That looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
see.
Yeah, the thing about the realtor that sells the haunted houses, that looks pretty cool.
I want to see that. Yeah. I had no idea about that show. If it wasn't for NXT, I would have probably never found out.
Yeah, like, when's the last time you watched Sci-Fi Channel? Like,
I used to watch it when they did. No, when they did Face Off. Yeah. Where they had the special effects makeup people. I never missed that show.
Wait, did you watch the Sexy Beasts on Netflix? Because that's what it looks like.
I started it. Yes.
I've seen a couple of them. That's wild. I don't like that everybody's hot. There's no stakes. I mean, I like the show and the setup and it's fun, but I don't like that everybody's good looking. I wish like somebody would be like a 60-year-old.
Well, they did that. They did that on Love is Blind. You remember Love is Blind where they put them in the pods and they had to get engaged before they saw each other? Right. And I'm like, of course you're going to get a marriage or two out of this. You got a bunch of supermodels in this house. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to like what they see. It's a matter of can they get along. Like, I agree with you. They need to bring some normal looking people into this show.
One of these sexy beasts should be an actual beast where it's like, this is not a makeup. This is an actual monster. This is what you found love with.
Oh my God.
If we were living in a different time, I would really.
Okay, I'm ready. Take off the mask.
Bye, Glenn.
No. But no, I think it looks like an interesting show. I'm going to check it out. Bernie DC, screen name because of DC Cab, saying show him age, a little bottle tab, tub of Orville Redenbacher popcorn, DC Cab on VHS rented from Errol's.
Man.
Damn.
Oh, man.
Rented from Errol's.
Remember when the supermarket started renting VHS tapes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Like, not even going to a video store anymore. Like, I'm just going to, get it.
I miss going to a video store. And then, like, I watched that stupid Blockbuster special and it got me all in my feels because I was like, yo, that was a date night right there. Just walking around the entire store. Yeah. We're going to pick up 4 movies. Or having to wait for the movie that you wanted to be returned and you're just wandering around the store waiting every time somebody drops a movie. Is that it?
I've had the modern version of that. My wife and I have spent 3 hours before in an evening trying to decide on something to watch, browsing Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Now. And it reminds me of that.
I guess that's the new, you're right about that. That's the new visit to Blockbuster. But you have to You had to pick the snacks and you never ended in the same sections. Oh, it was so much fun.
Such a simpler time. I loved Blockbuster when I was a kid.
Well, so that's why that's my new thing. I just toss out there, like, the first thing we see that's, like, interesting or weird. I'm like, you want to watch The Incredible Shrinking Woman? Okay. You want to watch Kansas with Andrew McCarthy and Matt Dillon? Sure. Like, oh, I never saw that. Okay, let's give it a try. You know, it's like, I'd rather spend my time checking out something than just spending that whole time sort of arguing or like, oh, that's depressing, or oh, that sounds bad, or oh, I went on IMDb and there's like some really upsetting scenes apparently that happen later in the film. Like, now I just go for it. That's my new thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Right? Because we have endless options. Endless options.
Especially, here's the thing that I think Netflix is good for. Netflix is a game changer, kind of, where they just have play something. Like, I'm one of those people who would spend so long on the front page, and there's this shuffle button now where they'll say, okay, we know what you like, play some, and they're usually right. It's usually something that I end up enjoying. So I just let Netflix take it from there.
No, not if you are the family provider, because everybody in my family has my passwords for everything, and my recommended gets jacked every time they want to get in there and watch something with my freaking logins. I get so mad because I have Netflix queued up, and when it's just me watching, it's either true crime or horror movies or some trash reality TV. Like, I don't even understand my viewing things. But then the other day I get in there and start showing me, like, first of all, Coco Melon came on, and I'm like, my nephew must have been watching it with his daughter. And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what? So it's listen, don't be the family provider that gives the password to everybody. Is gonna mess up your recommended list.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, and then lately, all it takes is me, like the Clifford situation, reading somebody saying this movie is nuts. You have to watch it to understand. Reading Dave Holmes, formerly of MTV, was saying The Book of Henry is like a train wreck of a film. So I'm like, ooh, I gotta watch that. Like that intrigues me when people say things are like entertainingly bad. Oh, I don't think we talked about this. No, we did talk about Fast. Did you guys watch Fast 9 yet?
Not yet.
I actually no. I saw the first quarter of it. I haven't gone through it. Wasn't impressed with what I saw so far, but I'm sure it'll pick up.
But I watched Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
Finally, I really like Tokyo Drift. I thought Tokyo Drift was great.
Tokyo Drift is the worst in the series.
Is it though?
Yes.
People say that, but I don't agree with that at all. I think Tokyo Drift is a very underrated movie in that series. It's one of my.
Have you a marathon where you watch them all in a row?
We tried to watch them all in order last year, so we were saving Tokyo Drift till we got done with part 6.
Right.
Like, we were going to do that, and then we gave up halfway through rewatching them.
Yeah, if you watch them in a row, not all back to back, but within a couple of days, you can understand. If you watch Tokyo Drift on its own, it's not bad. But if you watch it as part of the story, it makes no sense.
Sure, yeah, because it's just like the fish out of water movie. It's completely different from anything else they did.
Yeah, but on its own, if I said, hey, I caught it, I kind of liked it. But if you're trying to keep up with the story, it doesn't make any sense. I
was bored as hell during Too Fast, Too Furious. I thought that was really slow upon rewatching it. Even when I saw it in theaters, I was like, this is kind of slow and not that good. But I didn't know they had this, so I was listening to How Did This Get Made talk about Fast 9. You know about this Fast and the Furious Spy Racers on Netflix, this kid show?
No.
Dominic Toretto's younger cousin and his teenage group of friends run secret spy missions, and it's 3D animated. And Vin Diesel does shows. If you want nightmare fuel, look at 3D animated Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious Spy Racers. Just open the first episode and skip around so you see Vin Diesel show up. You're like, oh my god, what was the animation budget on this? But he does the voice. He does Dominic Toretto. He's a producer on it. It's been on for 5 seasons.
Wow.
Oh, the Torettos,
I will say the family memes with Dominic Toretto, I can't get tired of them. Like how he's all about family. Oh my god, I love those. Every time I see it, I laugh.
I think part 5 by far the best in the series. Really liked part 6, part 7, cried like a baby. Part 8, it was like, this is dark, but it's good. But yeah, finish part 9, and then we'll have a lengthy discussion
for sure
about Jacob Toretto and the new wrinkles in the Fast and the Furious franchise. But 3 was good. 3, I think, is up there.
Yeah. Pretty slow start for 9, I will say, though.
Doesn't really pick up. I'm just gonna.
Oh man, you're not helping, Glenn.
It's the longest Fast and the Furious movie, and it felt like the longest.
Are you telling me I shouldn't go to the theater? Should I just
rent it here? This is not worth risking Delta for.
Okay.
Yeah. This is not that.
That's how I'm gonna start rating things. Right? Is it worth going outside for? No. Okay, that's all I need to know.
That being said, watch the Jungle Cruise over the weekend. That was a lot of fun.
It looks cute.
Mm-hmm. It's The Rock being The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, but kind of mummy-esque. in the acting adventure. It was fun.
And who's the woman he acts with? Who's from The Quiet Place? She's a very good actor.
Emily Blunt.
Yeah, she's very good.
Jack Whitehall, who showed up at Double or Nothing, was in it. Yes. He has a supporting role. Yeah, it was very, very enjoyable. Chat room has a lot of thoughts about the Fast and the Furious series.
I hope it gets better, but yeah, it doesn't look like it will.
I was looking forward to that so much last year. Like that was the one, like when they canceled my tickets and I got pushed back a year, I was so sad. And it just wasn't. Anyhow, so I think that's all for tonight. A lot of people turning. This is like one of bigger NXT Tuesday audiences we've had.
Yeah, it's good. I like that there's more excitement. I think fans being back, even though their NXT is still in the CWC, there's still that excitement for the product. And I'm very much looking forward to this pay-per-view. I just, we've said this before. I wish it was in an actual arena because some of these matches deserve to be in front of 10,000 people or something.
And that's gonna be an intense weekend with what's expected of Rampage, SummerSlam, and Takeover. That's gonna be a huge weekend wrestling wise.
Yeah. And it was announced starting in like 2 weeks, we're going to be covering AEW Rampage on Friday nights in addition to SmackDown.
Yay!
How about that? More wrestling,
look at that.
ladies and gentlemen.
3 hours of wrestling.
Best friends that anybody could have.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Oh, man. So we're going to be back Friday. Tomorrow night, AEW coverage. Apparently, AEW already re-uploaded Dark, edited out segment. And Issa is at NYC Demon Diva. That's Steve with a 1. Alfred is at This Is Nasty. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein. We will catch you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.